Hi, this is Ellen Gould of Sisters 3 Farm, and today I'd like to tell you how to pull loops. Rug hooking can be a lot of fun. It could also be frustrating for a beginner, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about how to do that. The first thing you need to do is remember this is your hook, or this is your hook. Doesn't matter which one. The most important thing to know is that this is the shank right here, and this is the hook. Can you see that? And that's what's important, because when you're pulling loops, what you're going to do is you're going to put your hook through the fabric backing, whether it's cotton or linen or monk's cloth, whatever it is. You're going to be putting that fabric strip on the shank and pulling at a slight angle, so the hook prevents the fabric from sliding off. And I'm going to change the camera angle in a moment and show you. But first I wanted to show you some examples of what I mean by loops. There's some loops, directional loops. Here's some bigger loops. And here's some loops that are pulled with yarn. And today we are going to talk about pulling loops on this pattern. And I think you all can see that pretty good. This is a little pattern that I'm doing that's similar. I like to stuff things, so this is a stuffed little chicken. This is going to be a stuffed pumpkin with a little mouse and a moon in the background. And I'm going to use this as an example on how to pull your loops. So here's my fabric, here's my hook. We're going to go underneath to put your hook in through the fabric at a slight angle. You're going to put your fabric strip on. You're going to pull it up at a slight angle, and you're going to bring your tail to the top. And that's your very first thing to do. Then you're going to go to the next hole, and you're going to do the same thing. Put your hook down, make sure your fabric is on the shank, pull at a slight angle, and your hook is going to prevent the fabric from falling off. So I think you can see this. There you go. Now, that's pretty good, and we're going to do directional hooking. That's why you have these things. You're going to stay inside the lines when you're hooking your edges, and you're going to follow lines wherever. What I would recommend is that you pull like 3 or 4 loops, and then you skip a couple spaces and start again. And this way you create tension, but not too much tension. And the tension prevents your loops from shifting and falling out. When you want to go next to your next row, what do? Well, you go over a couple of spaces, a couple of strips, and you do there and go next to it. Again, I did like 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to skip a hole or 2 and go back up. And you want to keep your loops about the same height. Also, what you're doing is when you're hooking loops, it's better not to make them all exactly even. You want to have them slightly off. And you can see that here, how they're not perfectly aligned. They're not little soldiers. You don't want little soldiers, because what happens with little soldiers is that the dirt, if it's on your floor, gets in. It also, when you have them as little soldiers, you're actually creating a design. So you see the design of the loops, the directional hooking of the loops, rather than the motif that you're hooking, and you don't want that to happen. You can also hook with, of course, yarn. This happens to be some silk. yarn and you do the same thing. Up here we have the moon, and so what you're going to do, same thing, put it down, put it on your shank, pop up. And with yarn tends to be a little more forgiving. Don't worry about your loops, what they look like. You just hook and they kind of blend really nicely. You can use sparkly yarns, you can use anything you want, and you just pull them up, and you want to pull them up to the same height as all the other ones. You don't want things that are really significantly different unless it's intentional, like if you're creating maybe whiskers or something. But you can see here, this is all yarn, and how nicely it blends. So if you have any questions about pulling loops, please leave a comment below the video. If you have any questions, I'd be really happy to answer them. And you're going to find this video on YouTube, and I'll repost it on Facebook. And please remember to like it and follow me, because I sure would like to hear from you guys if you enjoy the videos and if they're helpful. So, we'll see you next week. Bye.